Welcome back into another episode of Rock Boys Football. Today we are continuing with our team previews as we come closer to the first college football game of the season later this month. Hey, it's August. We got college football in this month, and so I can feel it coming closer. We're excited for the season to begin. And today we have the NC State Wolfpack, who really are my favorite, one of my pet cats, if you will, one of my favorite teams coming into the 2021 season. I thought they were one of the more impressive teams last year, and they return almost every single starter on the team. And even the starters that they don't return aren't really the biggest losses, besides Lee McNeil. Shout out him. I love him. But I think this team is really poised for a good year. And looking in their schedule, like I see them only dropping maybe 1-2 games at the most. I mean, they can compete with any team.
1-2 is all you see. Well, like they're guaranteed to lose one.
Yeah.
You think they're gonna beat Mississippi State, Miami, Louisville, Florida State, Wake, and North Carolina?
I mean,
you think they got a good chance to beat all of them?
No, I don't. All I'm saying is I think they can compete with every team besides Clemson. That's kind of what I was getting at.
I don't know. I think Miami and North Carolina, they're going to need to show me what they are before I truly believe there. But
yeah, no, I don't blame. And again, this is why it's my pet cat. It's my team that I've watched. I've watched 4 or 5 games of film on them, and I really like this team. I really like their identity. I thought they were necessarily a really good team last year with a backup quarterback most of the season. So as we get into it, I'll tell you kind of the players to watch and why I feel so strongly about this team. But right now, let's just start with the quarterback. So
start it off with the guy.
Last year, I mean, Devin Leary was supposed to be the starter. He had COVID that held him out of a few games, and then he broke his leg against Duke. I believe it was a leg injury. So he never really got going. But when he did go, I mean, he had completed 60% of his passes for 8 touchdowns and 2 interceptions, 148 QBR. Like, they were cooking with him at the quarterback position. And to be honest, I like this offense, but it's not necessarily for Devin Leary. I like this offense because of the run game. I mean, obviously, you have Ikem Ekwonu leading the way with Grant Gibson. Those guys are 2 of the better linemen in the country. Ikem Ekwonu right now I have as the number 1 interior lineman in the 2022 NFL draft. He'll play left tackle this year, but he's a mauler, and they just have a lot of they create a lot of space for their running backs to go through.
The only thing I wouldn't mind hearing your opinion on, because in my opinion they run far too much zone for the kind of the body type and the maybe play style they have up front, which is more guys who seem to more fit the down block power style running than the more athletic linemen who I think fit the zone scheme better. So I don't know if you have an opinion on whether you want to see more of that, or because I agree those are 2 bigger, more like power guys who I think could really thrive in a power system, but that's not really what they do.
Yeah, kind of like what the Ravens or the Titans run in the NFL, where they had some of those, like kind of like what Trent Brown was doing, just bodying people. Yeah, no, I don't think you're wrong. I do really think that Pearson and Bam Knight at the running back position run it really well. I think they run those nice stretch zone runs really well. And then when they find a gap, they hit it hard. I don't think you'll find a better duo of running backs in the ACC better than these 2, in Zonovan Bam Knight and Ricky Pearson Jr. They both run the ball extremely, extremely hard. So, I mean, every single time they get the ball, you're making a business decision to tackle them. And they fire me up. They finish runs. So I guess what I'm saying is, like, I like this offense because they are a run first team. They're going to be able to run the ball effectively, and then Devin Leary is going to be able to throw the ball well enough to work off that. Kind of like what the Titans.
Because Leary's not going to be a guy who's going to thrive throwing.
He's not a gunslinger. He's not a gunslinger. No.
But it's like, I think you're right, because he makes plays when he kind of needs to. I think he's not a great athlete, but I think he can extend plays.
Yeah, he's great. He's a great athlete.
get first downs. He's got like some heady ability to run, if you will, in terms of smarts with it. But yeah, I don't know. It's like, again, he does compliment the fact that they should be able to run the ball well. I don't know. I think if they do mix in a little more power style running, it might help them. But either way, it's like they still ran the ball really well last year with basically the same crew. So I'm not worried about it. It's just it struck me when I was watching. I was like, why don't we like try to hammer it on some people a little bit? Because it's two big jumbo backs with more jumbo offensive linemen too. So
yeah, no, I know what you mean, and I think there's some truth to that. I don't know. Whenever I like watched NC State, I did just kind of think of like how the Tennessee Titans play, where that offense is predicated around going play action. So you're going to establish the run, get the team kind of thinking run, and then Devin Leary is good enough to pull the ball back, throw an accurate pass. And let's talk about these receivers. The one thing concerns me. I love the receivers, Emeka and Carter. I forget, Devin Carter. Big, 6'4", I think 6'3", respectively. And they are contested catch machines. I mean, you just throw the ball up to that back shoulder and they will come down with it more times than not.
I don't know, it just strikes you watching Pitt. They couldn't deal. Like, those are decent secondary guys. They just
to be fair, in the Pitt game,
strong.
In the Pitt game, I thought the refs were using the whistle.
Yeah, but they were I mean, I thought that it's like I was rooting for Pitt. I feel like we had them last year, and I was like pissed about it at the time. But like, they were grabby.
They make you grab them because they're big guys.
Yeah, big, and they do make plays on the ball. So I actually think Emeka Amizi is I think he can run a little better and is a better athlete than I think he kind of looks to the size, but I think if he makes some strides and like he has the ability to be an all-purpose, like, yes, he's big and makes contested catches, but he's not like Devin Carter is a bit more of just a true jumbo, like make contested catches, not be a space operator. But I think Emeka Amizi can have a really big year for them if they get more consistent play out of the quarterback and he maybe makes a stop, because you're right, he makes contested catches, but I don't know. He's got more athleticism than I think his frame kind of looks.
And I was thinking like I think he's a guy that you kind of have to build chemistry with, because you got to throw to him when he's not really open. And he doesn't necessarily look open, but he's open. You got to throw it on that back shoulder, kind of put it where he wants it. And he'll normally come down with it. And so I think having the flip-flop, Devin Leary, then Bailey Hockman, and they brought in that Finley kid for a little bit of the North Carolina game, just kind of like that waffling of quarterbacks kind of hindered his numbers and ability to play last year. But again, the one thing I want to, and I agree with you that Emeka Amizi is a little bit better athletically than I might be giving credit for, but they don't seem to have a guy who can consistently create separation. I look at Thomas.
Porter Rooks, though.
Okay.
I thought Porter Rooks, like, I thought he had a couple drops maybe in the games I watched last year, but he was more like, he did look like he had some activity getting open a little more than the other two, and he's obviously
the main
young
guys.
player.
Yeah, just like the main guys didn't necessarily seem to.
But Rooks is young; like he might make a big step and be more of a focal point in the offense, I should say, because he's a young player still, and I mean they have him listed as a freshman here, so he must be a redshirt freshman, and that'll be interesting to see what he can do if he can add something to that core, because you're right, there's two big guys who play a similar style, and if they can get more out of Porter Rooks and in more of a space generating role. The one thing I did want to ask you was, do you think they have like the tight ends who can, because when I think play action, I think sometimes or often it is somewhat helpful to have a tight end who can play at a decent level, and I don't know what they're going to have there. I was wondering if you had an opinion on.
They lose Kerry Angeline, who decided to go to the draft and went unpicked, and I'd be surprised I'd be surprised if that kid even like makes a team. Like, I was not that impressed with him. Limited athletic ability, didn't seem like he was a great blocker. I don't necessarily know why he left. He was their starter. I agree. I think those wide receivers kind of play the role of the tight end. I don't know if you watched the UNC game, but they kind of had a chance to get back in the game. They ran kind of like a play action look, and they leaked out a tight end, and it went right off the tight end's hands for a touchdown into a UNC guy's pick. It was like,
see, that's what I'm thinking. I think it helped them a lot to have a guy they can more depend on than what it seems like they're going to have.
I think that number 28, Dalen Parham, is going to be their starting tight end, and I mean, from what I saw there, like, I'm not that optimistic that he's going to be great.
I mean, he didn't catch the ball, obviously. Like, yeah, he wasn't the guy, so that hurts.
Yeah. But yeah, so I guess what I'm saying is, like, this NC State team is going to be able to, one, just keep the ball out of the other team's quarterback's hands, because they're going to establish the run, eat clock, be dominant, be physical. And I think they have a good enough quarterback where if you blow the box up on them, they're going to be able to throw to some of those big guys, get some mismatches, and move the ball. So, I mean, we'll touch on their defense first before we go to, like, kind of the schedule breakdown. But I think that offense is not going to be flashy. It's not going to be like a spread flashy offense, but it's going to be one of those offenses that it just grinds you down. And tackling Ricky Pearson Jr., Bam Knight all game is going to get to them.
No, that's fair.
And now let me tell you what I'm not more excited for, but I really like this NC State defense. Starting at the D-line, I think this is their weakest position. They didn't really get much sack production out of their D-line. I think Daniel Joseph is a guy that has been traditionally their best player. I think he had 6.5 sacks last year, if I'm right. Yeah.
Yeah, that's not bad, really.
Yes, that's really not bad at all. Terrell Dawkins, I think, added a decent amount of sacks. So between them, they had 10 sacks. So maybe I'm being a little too hard on them. I think they do.
Yeah, but they play that 3, 4, so 5 maybe.
Now, let me tell you, though, those blitzing linebackers are phenomenal. Mm-hmm. Between Peyton Wilson, Isaiah Moore, and Drake Thomas, those guys, they almost always send one of them, and they're really, really good at what they do. So, I mean, that kind of makes up for some of the I wouldn't even say lack of production, because I think the D-line didn't jump out of me on film, but when I'm looking at
it didn't look like they played great. I'm kind of with you. It's like the stats are actually decent in all fairness, but I actually on the field they don't seem to be ultra disruptive as a unit. I mean, of course they're going to have to replace McNeil, because that's an important position, that nose guard, I think, and that defense they run, because he is responsible for keeping the linebackers clean. And as you mentioned, those 3 can be really, really, really good group. I mean, Isaiah Moore, I think, is one of the better linebackers in the country. I think he's the guy. I think Peyton Wilson made a lot of, like, he kind of was the stat leader, if you will, for a lot of the year. But
okay, yeah.
I mean, so Isaiah Moore, in my opinion, is
better. Is better, in my opinion.
Way slept on.
Yeah, I agree. I think Peyton Wilson, having been that top 100 recruit, high 4-star, flashy, one of the better recruits NC State's had.
And he has an attitude, so you just notice him.
Yeah, he's a little bit more the face of the program. Isaiah Moore, number 1. I mean, he is phenomenal. I mean, and Drake Thomas is too. And so I don't mean to, like, leave him out. He's probably the worst out of the 3. But Isaiah Moore and Peyton Wilson, you might not find a better linebacker duo in the country. I like all 3 of their games, especially those 2. And what we were saying, like, they blitz really well. Peyton Wilson had 3.5 sacks. Isaiah Moore had 3 sacks, and they both had 8 tackles for a loss. So they're really able to kind of get in their backfield and make plays, which you love to see from that unit.
Need to be able to make negative plays. It's so big for defense.
Towards the back end, I have a note about Tanner Engle. Like, NC State fans, like, what's the deal with him? Every game of film I watched, I think he got kicked out. I watched like 4 games. He got kicked out like 2 or 3. Dude's an absolute lunatic. But, like, I mean, he plays hard and he comes up and tackles. But, like, dude is small. He's just a wild card. Like, he's just a heat-seeking torpedo. I mean, if you're an NC State fan, you gotta love that 5'9", 180, but he's just laying wood on people. I mean, that's intriguing. And yeah, so I think that rounds out their secondary. I didn't
The
have too
only thing
much.
I'd like to see a little more of is some stickiness. Like they don't give up big
Okay.
plays, which is really helpful, I think. But I thought like I watching that Virginia Tech game when they bring in that number 34, who is definitely not a quarterback, but was playing quarterback for Virginia Tech when the other guys were hurt. Like it seemed like he was completing more balls than you'd like because he really doesn't have the arm to where he should be completing balls in college football games. So I'd like to I don't know. I'd just like to see them get a little stickier in the back end, especially at the corner spot and cover guys a little tighter to complement being really pretty solid, not giving up
Yeah.
plays, which is what kills a lot of defenses.
To me, I mean, that was a problem in that Miami Florida game I watched where they ended up giving up 42 or how many points did they give up in that game? 44 points. Lost a tough one there. I mean, they gave up 431 yards of passing, which, I mean, Derek King's a good passer. He's not like, that's not an elite passing
Yeah,
offense.
you don't want to give up 440. Well, you don't want to give up that many to anybody, honestly. That's a lot of yards.
Yeah, so, I mean, I wouldn't say they're bad, but I mean, I guess there's not much to, like, write home about.
You don't
either.
have like the alpha dog who's like really great. I mean, like I'd say Engel is their leader, but he's not exactly a cover guy. He's more of a Tyrann Mathieu, like playmaker, like enforcer in some sense. So
yeah, I mean Tyrann Mathieu, I think that's a boost to be honest. Like,
I'm just saying style. Like,
well, Tyrann Mathieu covers much better than Engel. I don't think Engel is necessarily
compared, but Tyrann Mathieu's not like he's not playing guys straight up man coverage much. He's a bit more of a roamer.
Yeah,
at least from what I see.
I mean, going back to the defense, like the run game, not to go back to the linebackers, but they were very, very good against the run the whole year. I mean, outside of the Virginia Tech game where they gave up 7.7 yards per carry, I think that was due to 2 Khalil Herbert runs that were like 60-plus runs. And then they got steamrolled by North Carolina, which, I mean, North Carolina did that to pretty much everybody they played besides Clemson. So it's not like you got to take that too personally. But other than that, they were phenomenal against the run. Against Wake, they only averaged 3 yards a carry. Pitt only averaged 2.5. Virginia averaged 2.8. Duke averaged 3.1. Syracuse averaged literally 0.1 yards a carry.
Syracuse was bad.
Liberty with a good rushing attack there only averaged 2.8. So, I mean, and then Kentucky obviously averaged 6.1, but they're always going to get it. Kentucky's been phenomenally run offense for the last 4 years. So, I mean, the run defense is good because of those linebackers. Okay, so that's our overarching opinion on NC State. As realistically, they're just slept on. Everybody talks about Clemson. Everybody talks about Miami. Everyone talks about UNC. I'm not saying NC State's Clemson, but I'm saying NC State's probably closer to UNC and Miami than they are to Pitt.
Yeah.
Than they are to Boston College. I think. I'm high on the team. I think this team
is really they're better than BC. The thing is, I kind of see them in the Virginia Tech, Wake Forest.
Well, Virginia Tech's going to be horrible this year.
Yeah, but Virginia Tech's generally pretty solid. I see them as the mid caliber ACC.
Yeah, and what I'm saying is they're going to be closer to the higher tier.
That's you can think that. I don't see that personally. I mean, it's like obviously we'll have different opinions, but like I don't know what they did last year that makes you, besides having 2 really great linebackers plus a third who's really good too. I don't know. I don't love Devin Leary quite enough, and it's you'd want to be able to throw the ball at a really high level to be in that upper echelon. I mean, he might be like good enough to get it done, but I think they're going to need, as good as those running backs are, like they're going to have to, one of them is going to have to put a year together where it's like you're all first team, all ACC.
Yeah, I think Zonovan can do that, but I guess what you're saying, and I kind of agree, is I don't know if Devin Leary is like an elite guy. I'm saying he's good enough to do what NC State needs to do, but can he be good enough to kind of put them over the hump on North Carolina when they play on November 26th? or can you put them over the hump when they travel down to Miami? That's gonna be close. I mean, it's gonna be close. I think.
What do you think they should come in against Wake Forest? Like, what do you think that line?
I'll have to see. I mean, I'll have to look at how these teams are playing right now.
You can't.
Pretty close to even. Pretty close to even.
That's kind of what I think, and that's like.
But I'm high on Wake. No, Wake's gonna be very good this year. So actually, let's do a Wake video. We're gonna do a Wake video. Are we gonna
next week, you're talking like you think these three are gonna, or those two are gonna be like threatening the UNCs in Miami?
I do. Yeah. I think they have a chance for sure. Yeah. I think there's a pretty clear hierarchy because there's a bunch of gutter teams in the ACC. If you flip to the ACC, Clemson's obviously
it's guttery for sure.
Clemson's obviously like top tier, and then you got North Carolina, Miami. You could link up Wake Forest and NC State in that, and then Florida State's kind of a wild card. I think Louisville's going to be horrible. Syracuse is going to be horrible. Virginia's going to be horrible. Georgia Tech's program on the rise. I wouldn't say they're there yet. And then Duke obviously sucks. So I don't know. I think NC State's a team to watch. So before we round out this episode, let's take a peek at NC State's schedule. And then go through it. So they play USF, which will be part of our parlay of week 1. They'll beat USF. USF stinks.
Yeah, we'll see.
What you'll see against beating USF?
No, I'm just
come on.
No, it's more like some random parlay you're talking about. We'll see if that ever happens. But I'm not in love with those pick like 15 favorites. And hope they all win.
It always works.
It never works.
So Mississippi State, I think, is going to be kind of the telltale.
Yeah.
I think what we're going to see. I mean, they travel on the road to Starkville, and we're going to see like what NC State's about during that. I don't like Mississippi State. I think Mike Leach is kind of having to overhaul this program. And so I think they're very vulnerable. Like I would be surprised if NC State lost that game. I think I would pick them to win.
Do you think they're going to come in as a dog? I don't
know. I'd be interested.
I think they'll be like favorites, but I don't know for sure.
You take us through the next couple of schedules, and I'll look up.
Furman. That's irrelevant. Clemson, they're going to get dog walk probably, but
but everybody in these, I think Clemson's going to be phenomenal this year. They're going to
Louisiana Tech. I know you like Louisiana Tech. I don't think they'd have a problem with Louisiana Tech.
That's different Louisiana.
Oh, you like is that the Raging
Cajuns would be good. La Tech, I don't think would be. Very good.
BC, they'll smoke BC. This is where I think
I don't think the wait. Hold on. Go back to BC because. I mean, I don't know if we might do a video on BC, but BC is going to be decent because I think that Phil Yurkovich kid is. I think he's good. I think he's the real deal.
Yeah, but they're pretty bad elsewhere. But I think so. Well, I don't know. We'll see. I guess I really haven't looked that much into them, but I didn't love what they did last year. I think they got big hype because they played Clemson type, but other than that, they didn't have a great year, really.
They don't have the odds of NC State and Mississippi State, so we'll have to wait on those.
I think the game that we're going to kind of see is, in my opinion, I think Miami, if Miami is only favored by less than a touchdown, I think that's easy money.
They won't be. They'll be favored by more than that at home. I would be very surprised. If they were,
what would you need right now to take against? I don't know. I'd need 10 probably.
Yeah, I would say 10 and a half. Yeah, that's probably what I would take them at. And even then, I don't know. It'd almost maybe be 14. I almost need 2 touchdowns because Miami at home, presuming they're going to be one of the better teams, kind of packed house down there in Florida. I wouldn't be that enthusiastic. I mean, I think NC State has a really good chance to be good. Well, I don't know because that Miami team can't stop a nosebleed on the ground.
That's the problem. Yeah, that is where it comes into play. Is how are they going to stop Bam Knight and Ricky Pearson? Yeah, we'll see. I don't know. It'll get interesting. I think Louisville. I'm with you. I think Louisville's not heading in a great direction with Satterfield. I think he messed up a little bit late in the second year and how he's handled the offseason for sure.
Florida State. They're just a wild card. Yeah, I would never bet on Florida State, but I also don't think I'd bet against them. So
I think they're kind of exiting the range of true wild card into maybe this team's just not good because they've been bad now for 5 years and have shown no life. So
Okay, so
I mean, of course they have talent, but
yeah,
Wake Forest will be interesting.
That's a
'cause
toss
Wake
up. I would
Forest
put that
should have
right
beaten
at
them
even.
last
I
year.
would put that right at even. I mean, like I really think both these teams are one of the better teams in the ACC, and it's going to be a great game. I would also
Chiefs
worry
is
about
horrible.
I would also worry about Wake Forest stopping the run with kind of a lot of turnover at the linebacker.
Yep. Yep.
Hugh stinks in North Carolina. So I mean, I've been going 8-4. That's conservative. That's an 8-4, having them lose to Clemson and drop at Miami, Wake, and North Carolina. And so that's
I think 8-4 is probably target. I don't think that's why. I don't think that's super conservative because
what is their win total? Do you know what their win total is? Their odds for a win total?
No, I'm not sure. I don't have
I'll
a book up, but
Um,
I don't know. It's tough to assume that they're gonna beat Mississippi State, North Carolina, Wake, Miami. Like that means they need to beat at least 3 of them. I don't know if that's in the cards for them. Not 3. They'll have to beat 2 or so, and that assumes they don't drop another game. So we'll. To
North
me,
Carolina
it seems like
State
they have
is 6.5.
I
Over 6.
do
So
love
if they
that
can go
total.
7 and it pays out at plus 100.
I like that total actually.
So USF's a win. Mississippi State's a toss up. I really think that's 50-50. I really don't think Mississippi State's that good.
Oh, I think that might be a little better than the toss up.
Conservatively, let's give them the L. Conservatively, they'll beat Furman. They'll lose to Clemson. They'll beat Louisiana Tech. So that's 3. They'll beat Boston College 4. They'll lose to Miami. They'll beat Louisville 5.
Yep.
Beat Syracuse 6, and then they got to steal one against Wake or Florida State.
No, that's not stealing against Florida State. They're way better.
That's what I'm saying. So, like, I think that's a great line.
I think you're more stealing the Mississippi State game.
So are there Rock Boys? It is so dark in that room. I can barely see you.
Yeah, I know. I should put a light on.
Are the Rock Boys giving out their official pick, their first official pick of the college football season? On air live, we didn't even talk about this.
I would have thought 7.5 would be kind
I
of
would have thought
they would be
7.5 or 8.
Yeah, exactly. Well, like say they need 8 wins because that's probably
8 even to push.
I mean, they went 8-4 last year and were pretty like. I think they probably lost a game or 2 that shouldn't have been lost. So.
Okay, I think we're doing it. I think we're giving the pick.
I'd be super comfortable with
but
that.
Obviously, Bart. I'm monitor fall camp. They just had their first fall camp today, so keep an eye on injuries and stuff. I know some teams are already getting tackled by the injury bug. What we're gonna do, I guess, is we're going to. We'll explain this from further episodes. We're going to keep track of our picks. We're obviously going to give you guys our picks just because, and obviously we're not professional candy cappers, but we like to do it. We watch a lot of college football, and if you guys want to ride with the Rock Boys, we'll be giving you our picks, and we'll just keep track about how we do. Me and Dill may have some personal bets that we make on the side, so track who's sharper throughout the season. But once again, we're going to talk about gambling. Do it responsibly. Don't be an idiot. Nobody wants to end up in the trash can, so be careful about making those picks. But yeah, NC State over 6.5 wins, lock.
Not bad. That line should be 7.5. Looking at the schedule, it just seems like
I agree. Okay,
that's what my gut says.
So I think that'll do it for this episode of Rock Boys Football. Tomorrow night we're gonna be back at it. I'm gonna fight to do. What up?
No, it's just like
we're gonna do. I think Wake Forest because I love Wake Forest. I want to talk about them. I want to share my passion of Wake Forest football with you guys. So without further ado, we appreciate you guys listening, and we'll talk to y'all tomorrow. Peace.